Hey guys, welcome to Kneeling on Business, the podcast, episode 1, numero uno. This is the pilot, and for those who don't know, I am Bianca. If you have not seen the very first episode, stop what you're doing, click out of this, click the link to watch the intro video, so that way I don't have to do another intro on episode 1. If you have seen the intro, welcome. If you've watched the intro and you're back again, welcome. This is episode 1. The title of this episode, guys, is going to be called The Weight of the Weight. The Weight, W-E-I-G-H-T of the Weight, W-A-I-T. Before we get into this, let's talk about how Kneeling on Business, the podcast, came about. So for those who don't know, I am writing a book. It's called Kneeling on Business. So as I finish up writing, I decided to create a platform. Well, actually not me. God decided to create the platform because, baby, I don't like being in front of the camera. I like taking pictures that I can edit and post. But doing this, whole podcast thing, this was not my doing. This was all God. So let me just talk a little bit about how it came about. July 31st of 2021, where you're seeing me sit, this house caught on fire. And it wasn't nothing like bad or anything like that, but it was, this whole side panel was destroyed. It was gone. And so I was pregnant with my son Jace, who was almost 2. And it was very scary. It was very, very scary, but that happened, right? And then July 1st of this year, I was sitting outside, I was worshiping God, and I'm like, you know what? I surrender, Lord. People have been telling me to do a podcast. My husband's been throwing it down my throat, y'all. He has been telling me to do a podcast for God knows how long. I went to a women's luncheon that weekend, the weekend of July 1st, and it was so good. It was so good. I was prophesied over by Coach Sharice D. Saylor. And she was talking about my retina. She was laying hands on me. And for those who don't like the laying of hands, I'm sorry. It's definitely a part of God's theology. So take that up with him. As for me and my house, we will lay hands in Jesus' name. But she was laying hands on me. And the word that kept coming up for her was retina. God's going to change your retina. God's going to change your retina. He's going to change your vision. And for those who don't know, retina, it is the back of the eye that is used to transfer light into image. So the retina is responsible for vision. She was telling me that God is changing your vision. He's starting from the back to the front. And he's going to change your vision. And he's going to do things. He's going to create things in you that you don't even know anything about just yet. So that was amazing. That was just top tier. And that was on a Saturday. The next day, Pastor Stephen, my pastor, was preaching about how we have to be in position and proximity to God. And to piggyback a little bit, Coach Sharice, when she was prophesying over me, she said, you're frustrated and you're agitated with where you are, not because you're not supposed to be where you are, but because you've lost your position. You need to get back into proximity with God. And so when she said that, and then to hear my pastor preach on position and proximity the next day, I'm like, okay, God, you work in threes. If it's gonna happen, you'll do it again. And lo and behold, Monday I'm out here sitting in this very spot worshiping. I felt a wind come on me, and it was like an aggressive wind. The minute I said I surrendered to God, it was an aggressive wind. Like I couldn't even put it into words. But an hour after that, my good friend Elias sent me a video by Sade Martin. And just take a look.
Wind can be a sign of judgment, but how you discern what kind of wind is blowing, you have to understand, or you have to examine the direction of the wind. Could it be that you're experiencing both judgment and favor at the same time?
Now that you've seen the video, the verse that I studied after that happened was Psalms 104, 4-5. And it reads, who makes winds his messengers. Another version says angels, and we're talking about God right now. God is laying the foundation of the world. It says, who makes winds his messengers, flames of fire his ministers. You laid the foundation of the earth, that it should not be moved forever. And that is why we are sitting here in this very spot. Because 2 years before, there was a fire that happened. Recently, there was a wind that happened. And then on top of that, the word just confirmed everything. So this place is special to me. This place is marked. And we will continue the podcast here. So that's how the podcast itself, the location, came about. The purpose behind the podcast is to promote my book. But it's not just to promote the book. It's to talk about people who are going to be giving their testimonies. Like I said in the intro video, we're not going to redo the intro. But it's going to be for people who are giving their testimonies, people who are kneeling on business in a season, in a culture where everyone is standing on it. We are not made to fit in. We are made to stand out. We were not made to live of this world. We were made and created to live in the world, to show the glory of God through our lives. So let's get into this first episode, the weight of the weight. If you don't know me, which you probably don't, I love lifting weights. Before I started lifting weights, I was an athlete. I've been an athlete. I played basketball since I was 7 years old. Have always been athletic. Always been athletic. It wasn't until my early 20s when I started realizing, like, hey, I actually do like lifting a little bit of weight. You know, I love lifting weights. I love going to the gym. I love everything about fitness. And the thing is, the reason why I love lifting weights is because the more weight you lift, the stronger you become. It's like a method to the madness, right? So you don't just go in lifting 60 pounds. You go in, you work on your form. You got to perfect your form. Once your form is perfected, you add a little bit of weight to that. Then you get accustomed to that over the next couple of days. Once you've added a little bit of weight, increase your weight while still perfecting your form. And then you go on and you go on and you go on. And once you master that, the purpose of the Deload Week is to actually help you get stronger, get leaner, get meaner, and all those things. I'm not going to give you guys a one-on-one of personal training. That's not why I'm here. The reason why we're here is because it's ironic that in the natural, you become stronger by the amount of weight you lift. But in the spiritual, you become stronger by the amount of weight you carry. Lifting and carrying sounds the same, but they do differ. Lifting, by definition, is defined as to raise to a higher position or a level. Carry, by definition, is defined to move or support someone or something from one place to another. Lifting benefits myself. Carrying benefits myself and others. The strength of a true believer is not how much weight you can lift by yourself. It's how much weight you can carry to the Father. The Bible tells us in Galatians 6 to bear, in other words, to endure, to carry one another's burdens and troublesome moral faults, and in this way fulfill and observe perfectly the law of Christ, the Messiah, and complete what is lacking in your obedience to it. Basically, by carrying each other's burdens, you're not only fulfilling God's law, but you're fulfilling whatever you're lacking in his law. So, what's the purpose behind the weight of the weight? Well, the definition of weight, W-A-I-T, is to allow time to go by, especially while staying in one place without doing very much, until someone comes, until something that you are expecting happens, or until you can do something. In other words, it's to stay in place of expectation. The definition of weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, is to attach importance or value to. And we're not looking at this as far as the weight, like how much weight you carry. We're looking at it from a different standpoint. We're looking at it from the verb, which is to attach the importance or value to. The purpose is this. The weight of the weight is to value expectation. I'm going to say that again. The purpose of the weight in the weight is to value expectation. When God has us in a tarrying season, when God is calling us to pause, when God is calling us to be still and know that he is God, when God is calling us to wait, when we're not seeing the thing that we've been praying for, when we're not seeing the fruit of our labor, when we're not seeing the fruit of whatever it is we're believing for, we're in a waiting season. When he calls us to tarry, We should not grow weary in doing good, because at the right time, we will reap a harvest. Habakkuk 2:3 tells us to wait earnestly for whatever it is, for the vision, right? Because it will surely come. The vision that God gives us is for an appointed time, and it hastens, which means to move quickly or hurriedly to the end. It hastens, it moves quickly to the end. Not only that, but it won't deceive us, nor will it disappoint. When God calls us, when God gives us vision, listen to what I'm saying, when God gives us vision, not when Bianca gives herself vision, not when you give yourself vision, but when God gives us vision, it will come to pass. But we have to be in a season where we have to tarry. We have to be in a season, and I believe it's not to show the cruelty of God. It's to show the glory of God. It's to show that even though we are waiting on something to come to pass, God is still good. And not just that, but it's for us to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. When we are in a waiting season, guys, it's not for us to just sit still. And I feel like that's why a lot of us, including myself, get very disappointed while we're waiting, because our mindset, our perspective is different. It's not supposed to be of a natural mind. We're supposed to think in the spirit. We're supposed to live by the spirit. So we're supposed to think of things that are higher, because God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And so when we are getting disappointed in the wait, it's because we're not going up. We're not thinking from a higher perspective. We're not thinking from a godly perspective. We don't have the mindset in the right mindset in the waiting season. We wait without expectation. Remember what I said, the weight of the wait, the purpose of the weight of the wait is to value expectation. We do not value expectation whenever we are in a waiting season. So what do? We wait isolated. We wait by ourselves. We wait quietly. We literally just wait. Our waiting season is our service season. While we wait, we need to wait on someone else. We need to serve someone else's dream. We need to be the stream in someone else's wasteland. We need to be the way in someone else's wilderness. We need to serve, guys. Wait is equivalent to hope in the Bible. They that wait on the Lord, who expect, look for, and hope in him, they shall renew and change their strength and their power. They shall lift their wings and mount up close to God. Mount up close to God. As eagles mount up to the sun. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint or become tired. And that's found in Isaiah 40:31, the Amplified version. I love reading the Amplified version because it's descriptive. I need descriptivity. That's not a word. That's not a word. We're going to say it today. I need description, guys. Because if guys are just like, hey, yeah, just wait. And I'm like, no. Why do I have to wait, God? Because waiting allows our hope to grow. Waiting allows our faith to grow. Waiting allows us to serve others, not just ourselves. So I love reading the Amplified version because it gives me a description as to why behind the what. So the weight of the wait, guys, the weight of the wait. If I have not said it at all, I'm going to say it again. The weight of the wait is to value expectation. Come expectant before the King. Come expectant before his throne, because without faith, we can't please God. And my pastor said this yesterday. He said, feelings don't move God. Pain does not move God. Suffering does not move God. It allows him to be compassionate. It allows him to care because God cares about us, but it doesn't move him. Faith moves him. Do you have faith when you're in pain? Do you have faith that your pain is actually leading you to your purpose? Do you have faith that your suffering is actually leading you? It's the catalyst to your joy. Do you have faith in the wait? That is the purpose of the wait. Look at wait, guys. Wait in the wait. Hope in the wait. Have joy in the wait. And it's easier said than done. But take it from me. I've learned to master that. Am I perfect at it? Absolutely not, guys. I had a crazy morning this morning, but I am God's child, and I know that he's not calling us to be perfect. He's calling us to progress and to prosper, which literally means to move forward. That's it. And so as you continue to come back to this channel, you will see how I've learned to value the weight of the wait. But that's for another day, at another time, and another episode. Thank you all for joining. It's Bianca, kneeling on business, checking out.